Hello, good morning, class. Can you hear me? Anyway, good morning. Um, Sorry for the delay. Uh, Still trying to figure out some things on the broadcast. But hopefully, by next class, all things will be well sorted out. Sorry for the delay because we are more than 30 minutes late. So sorry for that. Um, well, I believe anytime you come online, you should be able to get this video because seems nobody's online yet, and I'm trying to get your attention. The streaming has started. Please come online and join, and tell your friends also. Okay. So today we'll be looking at sheet metal. Now, before this time, we'll be talking about how you design different products, and you talked about the different methods of drawing. And last week we talked about freehand sketching. So it's very good, like I said last week, to understand how to make sketches, because with a sketch you present your idea to people so that they can understand the kind of solution you are trying to provide. That's the essence of uh, freehand sketch. If you also, even if you want to give someone maybe a draft to maybe give an idea of how much it's going to cost to produce what you have in mind to produce, then that sketch can also give them an idea. Okay, this is how it will look like before you make the final drawing. But before you make the final production, the final drawing is very important. So you have to do the final drawing. So this morning we'll be looking at sheet metals. Well, you can say sheet metals, but it's talking about drawing 3D shapes from flat surfaces, more of like you are folding a paper. You know, we talked about development recently, the last two classes. So now we're going to be seeing how we are going to be turning um, shapes or different shapes, yes, but a few flat surfaces into required shapes. For example, they want to draw something that looks like a bowl, or that looks like an open box, or a closed box, or parts of machines, or part of anything. So you'll be able to draw that using sheet metal. So instead of drawing the whole thing all together, you will see some of the tools that Onshape has to produce some of these parts. So let's just start with one. Create a new document. Okay. And so today we'll be looking at extrude, flange, and how to bend a sheet. We're looking at how to bend a sheet. One. Let me start off with your sketch. Now, what we are trying to draw, sorry I couldn't give you the shape we are trying to produce, but I'll just show you how to bend a square or a rectangular shape into a three-dimensional shape. For example, you want to make a rectangular dish, something that looks like a rectangular dish. So we just draw a rectangle, then we extrude the parts, and from there you can see how we're going to produce a flange from it. So let me start off with the center point rectangle. So we have this kind of rectangle. Can you see there? Then this part here, this way you have the sheet metal. See this shape. So we're trying to, the first thing we'll do, we're trying to draw this kind of shape. So the sheet metal, you see the sheet metal model, the flange, and all of this. Once we can create all of this one, but we'll only be picking the sheet metal mold, the flange, and the bend for this class today. So let me select that, then you come here to this option. So it's asking us to select the part of the surface to convert. So we have three options here: that you convert, you extrude, or you thicken. So we're going to be looking at extrude, and we'll also be looking at thicken for today. So let's first go to extrude. Now, you see, usually before now, when in the other extrude, this particular extrude, if you want to extrude, you extrude a closed surface. But for this one, you only need to extrude each sketch. So you are not extruding everything. So let me see, you see what happens now when I select this line. This line alone is extruded. You see, unlike what you have for this one when it's a closed shape that extrudes. Then I can extrude all the sides. You see, so I've been able to create a hollow rectangular box now, which is open on both ends. So none of the side is closed. So I can, depending on what I'm drawing, because now we don't have other shapes. So blind means okay, up to any dimension. So we can specify the dimension here. Then also here we can choose the direction where we want the extrusion to go. If I select this, the direction goes this way, you see. If I select this, it comes this way. So it depends on where we want it to go. So let me even make it go this way because of the next thing I want to draw. So it can be symmetric, it can be on both sides. You see, that rectangle is in between. It can be on both sides, it can be symmetric, depends. You can have a second end position, maybe you have a length from two sides. One side is to be longer than the other side. You can select that. Now, the thickness and the bend radius. So the thickness of that of the sheet, we just selected the extrude. We didn't specify the thickness of that sheet, so you can specify the thickness. So let's say we are using the 2 mm sheet metal. That's the intention. Now we have the bend radius. See these edges, they are bent. So, but usually the practice is that the bend radius must be greater than the thickness. So we can say, okay, let's leave it at 2.3, or we can make it 2.5, depends on whatever we want, whichever way it's fine. So that is that. So now we have the extrude. So we can say, okay, we're satisfied with this. This can looks familiar to this kind of shape looks familiar to many of us. So that's the first thing we are doing here. Now we are not doing much today. So the next thing we want to do is also to draw a flange. Now this how to get a flange. You see the shape of the flange. Just like you are trying to fold that edge. So now you see what happens when I do this one. Now you select the edges or sides or faces to flange. Now I select this edge. You see what happens. It draws another, folds it along that line. You see. So the distance, I can select how long I want it to go, which is because it's on blind. I can also select the bend angle. The bend angle, I can increase this one. You can see, no, I want it to be 120 degrees. It's going to go inside. I want it to be minus 120 degrees. Okay. I want it to go 120 degrees, but in the opposite direction. You see, you can open that side. I can change the direction, and I can change it back to 90 degrees. I can also select this side and have the same thing. So if I do that, let me see if this works. Up to entity, it may not work. I'm trying to change it, but no, it's not going to work. So let's continue with our blind. So with this now we are seeing that, okay, because we didn't specify the dimension of this, so we are not sure of the dimension, but you can just say, okay, let's increase this, let's see what happens. Looking at that, maybe we should make it 40. Let's see how long both of them will go. I think they are overlapping now. So let's say 35. Yeah, it's almost close. But the idea is that we can see what the flange looks like. So we have that edge. We want to just flip that edge. So that's what the flange does for you. Now this is just the basic shape. So when you see many shapes that are drawn, that are complex shapes, these are part of the things you can do, especially sheet metal. So when you see vehicles, when you see 3D images of some vehicles, these are part of the things that they do to get those complex curves, or some of these tools that you have here in this place. Some of these tools here, these are what they use in getting those shapes, those complex shapes that you see. So that's that for this. So if you are satisfied, you can do this. So on this shape you can still do many other things. On this shape, for example, you can put a sketch here. Put a sketch here. See, put a circle on it. See. Okay. Extrude. Remove, because I want to remove the shape from it. No, that work. That's so you see, so it doesn't mean I can still do other things on it. So like creating this hole all through to the other side. So it will be very good to use the mouse because now I want to rotate this. If I'm not using the mouse, it's not easy to rotate. You can use your arrow up, down, or left to do the rotation. But sometimes it may not be easy to come back to, so you can see that the other side too has been cut out. So that's that for the um, flange to bend it other side. Now for us to do the bend, yes, so let's create, let's close this one and create a new document. Okay, so in this case we're going to see how to fold sheet metals after probably, let's say you've marked, okay, the shape. For example, in development, what we have in development, you have drawn the development, developed, maybe you have a shape, a box. Now you have drawn you have projected the profile that will form that shape. So we can now fold it in order to get that shape. Bring it out. I think it should be one of the assignments we'll still do in development. Maybe yes, that will be our next assignments probably. So let me just give us a just one like let's just do a sketch, one example of a sketch and see how you can bend the sheet metal, show how to bend the sheet metal. Okay, we have that already. Okay. So this is the center. Um, we have another. Okay. We have the corner, the one, and we have a shape like this. And we go ahead with another shape. And then we go ahead, pick another shape. Then we go ahead and have another shape. Okay, so let's say we're done with these shapes now. Excuse me, give me a minute. So I hope you are getting it.